Wellness is on everybody's mind, on everybody's lips. It's on almost every collateral you can see in hospitality, whether 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, everyone's wellness this, wellness that. You've been a major architect of implementing wellness strategies for Mandarin Oriental Group, Hotel Group, Accor, recently, a few years ago with Sensei, a fantastic concept in Hawaii, and maybe you can say a few words about what you did over there, because it's simply remarkable. And then let's move on to a question that so many people have, which is, how can we evaluate the leverage that wellness can bring to KPIs and to guest experience that you mentioned just a second ago? How to evaluate and how to get those numbers and how to have them work, how to use them?
Very good question. Something that I have dabbled around with since probably working with Smith Travel Research in 2007 to launch the first kind of data on spas in America. So let's divide that into two areas. One is the services provided, and how do you put an argument for the services provided? And then two, how do you determine the subtle things like the air quality or the lighting and so on like that? So services. Well, that is actually something that I think is within the capability of every GM to determine quite quickly whether there's a value or not. And that is by actually taking the data that's normally provided in the marketing team and to look at the spending patterns and the usage patterns of their hotel guests and say, okay, all the guests that use, let's take the spa, for example, but you could use the swimming pool, you can use the fitness, you can use any of the facilities that you offer. But let's just take the spa for this particular example and say, okay, let's have a look at the spending patterns of guests that use the spa and those guests that don't use the spa. Now, I've been doing that for many, many years, and I'm not going to reveal data today because it probably is too old. But what I can do is say that you will find almost inevitably that the food and beverage spend of per person using the spa is almost double that of a person not using the spa. You may ask why. Well, some of the reasons are that if they're spending time 3 or 4 hours in a spa or even an hour after a treatment, they're less likely to get dressed to go out to dinner. They're more likely to take room service. Or if they do go out to dinner, they're more likely to eat in your hotel rather than going out to town somewhere. So the food and beverage spend increases. If you look at the average length of stay, they're likely to stay anywhere from a half a day to a day and a half longer. Double occupancy increases. The ADR increases. Why? Because these guests are more likely to take your premium suites. And if you look therefore at the overall spending pattern of the guests that use your facilities against the guests that don't use your facilities, you will find that the guests that use your facilities spend considerably more, and not just in the spa itself, but in all of the other areas of the hotel. So that's from the services perspective, and you can find that data out. You can look at the data yourself, so you can do your own analysis quite easily on that. On the other subject then of, okay, the design. Well, first of all, if you're lucky enough to get a refurbished program that allows you to build in these features, then that's great. And then the key question is you need to employ somebody like me to tell you which ones are the best ones to put in there and not to put in. But assuming you do get those things into your hotel, then what you need to do then is to look and say, okay, let's do a little bit of a competitive analysis and see what are people paying for a wellness room versus a non-wellness room. And I've looked at this extensively, and there aren't that many hotels providing wellness rooms, so it's quite a quick and easy fix to it. But you'll find that irrespective of what people tell you, it's anywhere from about a 10 to 15% premium. So if you take a like-for-like room and one room's got the non-wellness features in it, as it were, a standard guest room, and the other one's got the features in it, it's around about a 10 to 15% premium. So that's an easy equation to do, because then you can say, okay, well, what did the cost of the room cost to fit it out, and what's my payback on that? So you can work on that. So all of these, you don't need any ideology or anything, or you're saying you've got to go with a wellness trend, you've got to believe in it or anything like that. You can do it purely from an economic standpoint. Now, I would argue there is a fantastic uplift that's not economic, and that is the guest satisfaction. That is the happiness of your guests. And that is difficult to ascertain, whether that was purely down to wellness, or whether it's just the fantastic staff you employ, or whether it is fantastic hotel you got. Doesn't really matter, actually, because all of those are wellness components. If they make the guests feel good, that's all good wellness. So that's where I pretty much stand on those two things.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. So it's a holistic approach, basically.
It very much is. The other thing I would add is, okay, so there is quite a demand to sell wellness packages, and you get hotels that have said, well, you know, everybody else is doing it, so we'll do it. So what we'll do is we'll have a weekend, we'll sell the weekend at a special rate, and you get a free massage. That is not a wellness package. A wellness package, to use your words, Zeina, of being holistic, a wellness package has to consist of providing some revenue to the wellness services, some revenue to the food and beverage services, some revenue to the hotel. And you put that together, that then becomes a wellness package. If you're putting it together for the purpose of just creating room sales, forget it. Don't even come to me. I mean, that's not a wellness package.
Yes, and I think, as you rightly touched on, employees of the hotel are also part of this wellness experience, because there's no point in selling wellness things if all of your employees are frustrated, right? So the guest experience is different.